Frank Abbruzzino with the Uncensored Report. The middle class, these sweet-looking folks over here. What's happened to it? The demise of it. I was reading an interesting article, actually a couple. I think I shared one of them today, where they talk about the struggles that we go through with buying houses, saving for retirement, putting our kids through college. I'm putting one through college now, another one next year, buying cars. My wife's out to buy my youngest one a car right now. Living comfortably, the middle-class lifestyle. Where has it gone? Why is it so much more difficult? You know, you look out there, you see the employment numbers, you hear inflation isn't up, but I keep telling everybody it's up. Look at my grocery bill. I've been saying that for years, if you watch this. A lot of families are having difficulty. A ton of debt. Everyone's in debt. I pay my credit cards off monthly because it stresses me out. But everyone's living in debt, paycheck to paycheck. There was a number on emergency funds where people couldn't afford a basic $400 if their car were to break down. The middle class. You know, what do? This one article said, do you go out? Do you move into a demographic that probably has a lower cost of living so that you are in the middle class? And then they opined and said, you know what? That might not work because then you're not going to find a job in that area that pays those bills. Pew Research, they came out. They closely looked at it, they analyzed it, matched people in low, middle class, upper class, and they basically said it's gone. And I was actually watching what was it? I think it was an interview today, The Empire, Abby Martin. And it was one of her old ones, and she was talking to an individual, and they were basically talking about when the United States and lobbyists came into play and how lobbyists played a role in getting the government to be more tangible, because at the committee levels, public wasn't really allowed in there. So once they opened that up in the 70s, lobbyists were able to sit in there and see how people were voting. And once you saw that, you saw the tax rate for the wealthy go up in the 70 some odd percentile down to where it is today, because the lobbyists could sit there and see who is voting, whereas before they changed these laws, you couldn't. You didn't know how the people were voting at the committees, and the committees are where the real action is. When they get out to the floor, that's just, it's show. Hey, look at us vote. All the real stuff is down behind doors. And they just talked about, too, ever since that the growth, the wage spread has grown significantly. And, so what is middle class? I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'm middle class. There's different definitions out there. 50% above the or below the medium middle income or median annual income. 71% of the people with college degrees, they say, think they're middle class. I have a college degree. I have some work towards my MBA. I don't know. I don't think I'm middle class. It's funny. I look at some of these bills and I talk to my wife and I wonder, how the hell do people do it? How do people survive? Based upon when I first went into college, it was a lot different. And I could see where that middle class is disappearing. Sarasota, or here in Sarasota, they put out this thing. They looked at the medium income, or what affordable was, how sustainable living, that you needed something like $80,000. And I went through the numbers, and I'm like, well, it's not realistic, because I think they had rent in Sarasota like $1,300 for a family of four. Good luck finding that. And that's because everything's so much more. That inflation that they say is gone. The American dream, is that slipping away? More and more middle class families, if you still want to consider them that, are gone. They're slipping away. The percentage of families that are out there have more debt than they have for savings. And it's at a higher level than any other time, I think, going back to the early 60s. And, if you look at it, what exactly is a good economic health in a household? What is that wealth? The soaring middle class debt, is that part of it? Do you look at the wage growth? Is it keeping pace with the rising cost of living? Healthcare, we all know where that's at. Higher education, the higher concentration of part-time jobs. What we're seeing out there is a lot of negative wealth where people are out there and they have more debt than savings. And that's about 1/5 of the American households out there fall into that category. One of the factors is healthcare. Ever since Obamacare, I've seen mine grow significantly. Where I was grandfathered in on an old rate, thank God. So my rate only went from, I think, $300, now I'm at $550 for a family of 4. Without it, I checked Obamacare, I'd be up like $1,300, $1,400 a month. Where it's really hit me is the deductible. I used to have a $500 deductible a few years ago. Now I got a $10,000 deductible. And everybody's suffering with this healthcare cost. It doesn't help that they don't look at their bills when they go in there. I got to go see the dentist. I have some issues. And I wanted to know, what are you charging? What are your fees? And she couldn't break it down because, they don't like to disclose that information. And it's important to me. What is that information? Because if you're offering, this particular dentist is offering 10% off with the program I have, but I want to know her fees. I go, maybe you're better than someone that's offering 20% based upon their fees. But they wouldn't disclose it, so I'm not going there. Emergency funds, like I said, 47% of the people out there are unable to handle an emergency bill for, let's say, $400. And they looked at it. This was what I found astonishing. To live in the middle-class lifestyle in a city like New York City, Silicon Valley, you got to make between $300,000 to $400,000 a year annually. That's a lot of money. And there's this graph on here that they go through, and they look at all the expenses, and they break it all down. But I got to tell you, I'm still not in agreement that 80,000 will have a family of 4 living comfortably here in Sarasota County. I'm just not buying it. If you want to get out there, you want an emergency fund in case something urgent goes on. You got to be able to cover healthcare costs. We're seeing more out of the pocket now. The inflation, your grocery bills are through the roof. Rent rates are through the roof where I'm at. And they say, well, what can you do? You can make life more simplistic. You can change your priorities. But it's hard. Especially when you're struggling. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, it's hard to change your priorities when you've already narrowed your priorities down to a level where they can't be adjusted anymore. And the biggest fear out there now is that middle class is gone forever. And that wage gap is spreading further and further apart. Our politicians are so corrupt. I get so disgusted with the stuff I see at the national, state, county, city level. But you're only one person. It's hard to do anything. And even when you do stuff, so many at the national level, local, I see it myself. I'll go out. I'll put out factual stuff with information. They'll come back and just say, he's lying, fake news. Not giving any factual basis for that. Just saying that. And people listen. It happens at every level of government. And because we're not listening, because we're watching the real lives of New York or whatever the hell you guys watch on TV, they're able to put through these different systems into place, which are turning us slaves into that system. I was sitting here and I work a lot. I'm a workaholic. I can't stand it. And I think I was talking to my sister in Italy. I think I was writing her. And I said, you know what? I sit here with my business, my medical business, and I sit here doing this scoop thing. I work from when I get up, 4 in the morning, and I go to the gym briefly. I come back. I sit in this chair. I don't leave this chair until about 6 o'clock. Then I go over to a couch with my laptop, and I go until 8 o'clock. I stop for dinner. That's my daily life. And I said, how's that living? How's that living life to its fullest potential? That's the question. All right, everybody. This has been Frankie Abbruzzino with the Uncensored Report. Everybody have a great day.